And welcome to the Restaurant Coach Podcast. It is the cure for the common restaurant. I am honored today to have on the show as a guest, Jedd Patterson. He is the COO of the New South Restaurant Group. Now, New South Restaurant Group might sound familiar to you because if you read my latest book, Ingredients, the foreword was written by their founder, Robert St. John. And so Jedd actually runs the company. While Robert's off having a good time in Europe doing culinary tours, Jedd's actually holding the fort down in Mississippi. So number one, thanks, Jedd, for being on the show today. And tell everybody real quick, just a little bit about New South Restaurant Group, what you guys do, where you guys located at, and then also kind of talk about, how did you get into the restaurant industry?
Sure, Donald, thanks for having me. New South Restaurant Group, we're in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. We have 5 concepts right this second, and they're all within a mile of each other, and 3 of them are a couple hundred yards from each other, and in one instance, a few feet. So, but we have built that over the last really 38 years, coming up on 40 years as a company. But most of the growth has happened since 2010, 2011.
Oh, cool.
And we've had some other things. We've had some concepts 90 miles away, 100 miles away, and we're working on some more. We feel like we're still, we're kind of still in expansion mode.
Should be.
Which is why the TRC method is so important to us. But we've got no concept really alike right this second. So we've got an Italian place, we've got a Cajun Creole restaurant, we've got a couple bars, we've got a hamburger joint, we've got a breakfast and lunch place that's kind of reminds you of a 40s, 50s diner. And then we've got a bakery who does cakes, we do pastries, but we also do king cakes and we do custom stuff. We do sell buns to accounts and do, let them dream the best bun ever, and then we try to produce it and make it and sell it to them. So
here you go.
A lot of fun stuff going, and we've got kind of a mid-towner concept, a similar concept to our breakfast lunch concept that we're getting ready to open in Gulfport, Mississippi, about 90 miles south of us, that we'll call the Downtowner, in a building that is near and dear to us that already kind of looks like a 1940s diner. It's a perfect spot, has a ton of history, and we're honored to be a part of that. And so we're working on that now, among some other things, but that's the closest. I have been with the company since 2009, and a lot of people in our town. We're in a college town. We're about, I don't know, 3/4 a mile away from a university that has about 15,000 students on campus. And I was just there getting a degree, figuring it out.
What were you studying?
I say getting a degree. I wasn't studying nothing for a while. I mean, I was studying, but I wasn't studying. I was burning the candle at both ends in the wrong way, like a lot of people do. Staying up 2 or 3 in the morning studying, as much do. I'm kidding. I wasn't studying. And you get that really low GPA the first couple semesters, and you finally say, okay, maybe this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe I need to go make some money and not just, put it on a credit card or whatever. But anyway, so I get into the restaurant industry, and up until that point, I had been working at retail, Walmart, Academy, sports and outdoors, that kind of thing. And I think at the time, minimum wage was $6.25 maybe. And so I was making $7 or $8 an hour, and I thought I was rolling it. And so you get in the restaurant business, you get a server job at Crest City Grill, and you make $100 in a shift, and you work 4 or 5 hours, you think you're cheating, And so, I, just that was the initial bug. Was like, man, I like making people happy, and then the more people are happy, the more your check average goes up, and you can make more money, and there's this direct correlation. And I felt like I was in control of my destiny, and that tracked back to like Walmart and Academy. And Academy, I kind of became the guy who was the 16-year-old foot specialist, person go there with plantar fasciitis and say, hey, what kind of shoe did I need? And I love that. I love understanding the type of shoe and getting them in the right shoe and looking at their foot and just making people feel like, hey, you're going to get an experience that you're not going to get anywhere else. And then at Walmart, I would load potting soil and mulch up for little old ladies. I just love doing that. Hey, I want to get this stuff, but I can't get it in my car. Oh, I'm here for you. Oh, you want to buy a grill too? I'll put it together for you. We'll get it to you. You know, I remember I met one lady who bought a lawnmower from us. We put together, and she came back a few months later. It's like, it just won't run. And I said, hey, this may be uncomfortable, but if you're okay with it, hey, I'll go to your house and I'll fix it for you. I'll change the oil. We'll figure it out. And that afternoon I went to her house. Probably shouldn't be saying that. That's totally against Walmart policy. But
we're not there anymore.
yeah. I've been there 20 years. But anyway, just taking it to the next level and just really making people happy. And so that really, I was able to see that in the restaurant industry as a server. I have a degree in marketing, and you know what I was learning in the classroom and what I was doing on the floor, I was able to apply it, and there was some correlation there. And then I became a manager, and then really fell in love with wine. We had a fine dining restaurant at the time. It has since closed. We closed it with COVID, but we had a 6,000 bottle wine list, about 1,000 labels. And I ran that wine program for a long time, and kind of fell in love with that side of the business because of what it meant to people. And it allowed me to connect with people at the table. And I really enjoyed that. And then our market kind of shifted, and everybody's market shifted. And then craft beer became a thing, and then whiskey became a thing. And then I kind of shifted it and kind of became the specialist in those fields as the market shifted. And then it's shifting again right now as we speak. But so I managed, I don't know, the floor and the Parrot, and worked all nights for about 4 or 5 years. And then I became the general manager of that space. And that was 3 concepts. So we had Crest City Grill, Purple Parrot, Mahogany Bar. In that building at the time, I was the general manager of that. And then, let's see, probably 2018, 2019, somewhere in there, we started working on some projects in Jackson, Mississippi. One really big project that was about a $15 million project. And so when that happened, that's kind of when I went into a more operational role.
Right.
And at that point, we had the Midtowner, we had Ed's, we had Tabella. But because of ownership structure, they all were kind of represented as separate entities. You know, Robert did not own all of them outright at the time. And so that we were kind of discombobulated a little bit at that time. And kind of the point of having a COO, which we had not had before, was kind of combining those things together and having a central purpose and central kind of mindset, core values, that kind of stuff. And so we've been working on that for quite some time. But anyway, so that's the minute version of how I got here. And then COVID happens, and then everything then everything changes for us. And we really saw some great business and some great opportunity, and continue to grow even after COVID. And so we've shifted our businesses a lot. We're pretty light on our feet, and really excited about the future.
Yeah, you guys are really leaned it down and really got really lean and mean now. So before joining like the TRC method, what do you think is like your biggest frustration or pain point that you had in the restaurants?
Well, you know, with that growth, you know, we're not big enough to have a corporate office of 10 people. You know, it's me, you know, at the time. And so, and I'm a GM. And so my background is people having a relationship with me, and when they have a problem, they come to me and I fix it, and it's over. Well, as we've grown and I've grown to this role, doing that for 400 people, as much as I would love to do it, that's the reason I got in this industry, but it's just not possible. And if you try to do it, what you end up giving people is this kind of cheap product, or a product that doesn't follow through. And if it does follow through, it's kind of halfway, and people start to not trust you as much, or don't believe in you as much, or don't believe in the brand as much, because you are the brand to them. If you can't follow that through. And so I really had a problem disconnecting from the restaurant, and then encouraging others to be that for others, and creating this tree of trust that kind of flowed downward into our organization, where if the dishwasher or the line cook or the manager had an issue, they had somebody a little bit closer to them that they could go to, that they trusted would solve that problem. And so for a while, I just felt like it had to be me. And that was a limiting belief.
There you go.
Does that answer that question?
Yes. No, perfect. Yeah, perfect. So, you know, the TRC methods, I would say, it's a little different. It's kind of, and I would say, how would you explain it? How would you say it's different from, like, you know, other coaching stuff like that, or maybe consultants you guys tried in the past?
Yeah. So the there's two sides that I see TRC method. There's the side that is what exists. It's like, hey, if I'm looking for an answer, there's a module that exists. I can go and find that and learn lessons that you've taught to other people. That's
a robust library of resources.
Robust library of resources. Now, most restaurant people, that's not the way that they necessarily think, is that I have all these problems and I want to go and find the solution and I have the time. Most restaurant people say, I'm too busy to do that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. And so the part that I think works for us is that it's a living, breathing organism. That is TRC method, is that, we've been with you for 2 years-ish, and where that has kind of molded the way that you've molded the program, the new programs that you've put in, the individual leadership you've had with me, there's been so many things that have gotten added over time as you recognized our needs, or combined a couple modules, and you say, well, I'm going to make a module so it makes it a little bit more clear. That's where it's really helped, is that it feels like this kind of white glove approach to NSRG, and not that just this blanket that applies to everybody.
Right.
And that's where it's really benefited us. That's answering the question.
Yeah. I would say, like, what's maybe one TRC tool, concept, or maybe mindset that really changed the game for you?
Yeah. So for me personally, I think it's this kind of time mapping concept. Just really being in control of your time and being extremely intentional about where you're spending time, and basically where your priorities are, kind of stepping back and saying, where do I want to spend this time? 30% here, 30% here, 30% here, and then time mapping accordingly. So that your priorities never get out of line. That's the one that personally affected me the most. Another one is understanding human needs. That it's not a one size fits all. That all of our managers are different and they have different human needs, and recognizing those human needs and kind of having your own plan on how to serve those people well, I think is something extremely important. I think we knew that conceptually, but not I don't know that our follow through and our implementation of that was effective.
Even Robert mentions that, like, he's had core values for years, but he never really got them out and just talked about them. Like, now we talk about core values all the time.
That's exactly right. And having the same values, and if you don't, communicate your values well, then people create their own values. And a lot of times, it's not ones that align with you. It's normally it's normally this convenience value, or they're just going to run in the lane that they feel comfortable in,
right?
And not make themselves uncomfortable, and that's fine. But then you get some interesting team dynamics when everybody's doing the same thing and nobody's doing the thing that nobody wants to do, And so, and we had this discombobulation that's kind of, we were really great at other things, but we were just really poor at some things, and things that are non-negotiables. You don't, it's the way I see it. It's like, you don't get to choose if you fill somebody's water. You got to fill their water, and it's like those type of things. We were being like, no, we're just not going to do it because we don't want to do it. We were filling water cups at the table. I'm just saying, but it's just things that should have been simpler, and we're just not committing to it.
It's funny you mentioned about time management and about how to just be really on top of your calendar, so like that. One of the things I like to tell people is and think about time in the general construct of time, is that time is relentless. Time is ruthless, and you have to treat time the same way time treats you. So, it doesn't stop. It doesn't care what you got going. Time just keeps going. It is relentless, and you have to be just as relentless about managing your time as time was taking things away from you. So,
I think I'm probably not unlike a lot of people in this industry, where I have 3 kids and kids who are very involved, and I had a blessed childhood where we got to do everything we wanted to do. My parents were busy, but they found a way. And so that's been a challenge for me, is that how can I be an A+ father and an A+ husband and an A+ COO all at the same time? And I think most people, they choose one or two of those, and then one kind of falls to the wayside. And that's where time mapping had to happen. It's because I just wasn't going to accept that as reality. I wasn't going to let busy be the excuse as to why I couldn't be a great father or a great husband or a great COO. I just wasn't going to accept that. I knew there was a way. I just needed to find it. And the TRC method, and I've told you this many times, is that as far as my personal life, what it does for your mindset, it makes you be self-aware, it makes you step away from what you're doing, look at it objectively. I mean, it's changed my life, because I definitely was compromising one of those categories.
What would you say is like maybe one leadership trait that everybody works in a restaurant, especially a leader or an owner? What do you think is a trait that they must develop if they want to kind of if you really want to, thrive in the next 5 years?
I think understanding your personal standards. What's the Jedd standard? And then having a system that maintains that standard, that does not include you. I think that's probably the thing, because then you don't have to play in this idea of like regret. And like if you go and commit to something and then you get back into another thing and you're like, man, that's gone down because I'm not there. There's a way to do that. And there's a system, and there's empowerment, and there's conversations, and there's standards and expectations that need to be communicated, and that can be done. And most people want to do it. And I think sometimes we play too far on the empathy card, on the empathy side, and we define what we think people's limitations are, and then we work around them, as opposed to letting people show us their limitations and then planning from there, by continuing to give them opportunities to grow, and then not being surprised when they do it or exceed our expectations. And I think that's empathy is a key pillar of hospitality, but weighing empathy and operational success, sometimes that's a tough thing to do. So anyway, that may not answer that question, but
no, it does perfectly. Yeah. So let's talk about, I'm huge on culture. So in your experience, when we talk about culture, what's the easiest thing to overlook and also the hardest thing to fix?
What's the vision? Where are we going? Where are we going? Next month, next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And so, and if you have good leaders, they want a part of it. They won't buy in. It can't just be your vision that they just go and do. We don't have those. You don't want those type of people. Your leader. You want people who are. The vision is, some of it's derived from them. But sometimes we don't communicate it well enough, or we don't listen enough to understand where our people are, to have a vision that aligns with our top leadership, and I think we've done a much better job of that. Where we've struggled is that, we're going from one guy kind of running it all to now 4 or 5 guys, we're a female run, mostly business. You go in most of our restaurants, there's mostly female, but
they are.
We got some badasses. They're awesome. But anyway, and so we've been okay with just having one vision and then everybody kind of go and doing that, but this shouldn't work in this day and age. And so you gotta bring some more people to the table, and we've done a better job really understanding what our people need, really understand what our customers need, interjecting, where there's some lines, and then just hammer it away. But really communicating. And so that's the main thing to overlook, is that everybody's just going to understand my vision. They're just going to do it. And it doesn't work like that.
They don't, And then as far as like profitability leaks, what do you think is, what was like before you guys started with the TRC method, what was like your profitability leak?
I think riding a roller coaster and these peaks and valleys of sales, I think we would just say, we're just slow in sales. We're okay with running 18-19% hourly labor. That just is what it is. We'll be busy in a couple of weeks. Flexibility of that. I think we've become more flexible because we communicate better to employees. We've done a better job at finding efficiency. And so we don't need a lot of people, and so when we flex down, those people go to 35 hours, but when we get busy, they just go to 40 hours, and they can live within that. And I think we've done better at understanding the head count, that we need, as opposed to having a bad Friday night that was really 2 hours of bad, and then thinking, oh, we got to go hire 4 people. It's like, no. Look, we just got to solve the 2-hour problem. And I think that's a mindset thing that TRC method kind of helps you step away from and then solve the actual problem, as opposed to letting emotions make the problem bigger than it actually is. And then the other thing is maybe our mindset on new opportunities is that because we're busy, we're not looking at offsite events and catering and where can Loblolly really, run this wholesale thing. I think we just kind of had limiting beliefs on where some of this stuff could go and grow.
What it could be,
And I think we've been able to really key into that, as we've seen kind of a little bit of a downward trend in like seated dining, that we've been able to kind of make up for that in private events and offsite catering and stuff like that, which has been really nice kind of counterbalance that has happened in some situations, uncertain financial times for a lot of people. So
I think so many leaders in the restaurant industry just accept the status quo. Like they just think, well, that's just, what's that? That's just what it is. It is what it is. And I always say, no, it's what you allow. And when you can take it for face value, like, oh, it's just slow, market's slow, sales are down, people aren't coming to restaurants. Or you can say, okay, well, what am I going to do about it? What do I have control of? We talk about that COC, circle of control, a lot. Like, what's in your COC? What's in your circle of control? Well, there's a lot of things inside your circle of control. And then as far as like guest satisfaction, what's one thing that you've kind of changed over the last couple of years since you've been in the TRC method that you think's had a big, huge ripple effect with your guests?
Expectations. I think I've been very intentional about expectations that I have for our top leadership in our restaurants. And I think they've seen enough of the value in that they have those expectation conversations with their managers and with their leaders on the service floor. And I think because of that becomes very, very, becomes a lot more intentional on the floor. And I think, other people are now understanding, what does yes mean? What are my options that I can provide to a guest as it bobs and weaves throughout service problems and successes and things like that? And so we have, I think, a better book of yeses, of things that we can do for the guest. And I think when you open your mind up to that, and you pick up more things, it just becomes really dynamic and fun to watch on how you can take a median or an acceptable dining experience to the next level. I mean, and a lot of times it's not a super complicated move. It's just something that's just intentional and thoughtful. That starts with listening. I think that's probably a cultural change that we've made. Is that I think we've just kind of said, oh, I know it all. Let's just do my thing. I'm the smartest guy in the room. Let's do it. Let's do it the Jedd way. It's like, no, that's fine. But if nobody follows it, then it's for nothing, But now let's listen, and then let's figure out how we can get buy-in and how we can take a little bit, there's a little give and take to get them to say, hey, yeah, it could be the Jedd thing, but now I'm going to go accept it as the Jennifer thing. If it goes to the Jennifer, then the Jennifer thing becomes the Barbara thing, or whatever, because we listen, intentionality. Maybe that's the best word. But
that's perfect. Yeah. And one of the things I've noticed too with you guys is your communication has gotten so much better. So, and one of the things we work on, like when I work with like restaurant groups, like, the New South Restaurant Group and Jedd and his team, one of the things I really focus on, we do like a leadership call every other week with the whole leadership team. And when those calls are like, a lot of people think, well, you're going to talk about like hard skills. I don't ever talk about hard skills. Those guys know the hard skills. So what we really focus on with the leadership team is we focus on the soft skills. We focus on like that time management. We focus on mindset. We focus on stress management. We focus on communication. We focus on emotional intelligence. We focus on all those soft skills that no one really teaches in the restaurant business. Because, to get to the level you're at in the restaurant game, you already have the hard skills or you wouldn't be a manager. You know what I mean? So how do I get you to get those soft skills? And those soft skills are where we really, really dial in on. And I would say like, one of the things that we really preach, in the TRC method, of course, is self-care. And you've been really big lately about, doing some really good self-care stuff. Do you think self-care do you think it's a necessary or just a luxury for people who work in the restaurant industry?
It is a necessary. And so now you could categorize what self-care means in my mind, and the way that I try to, and because some people look at me or probably us and say, going to the gym, hey, that's just not my thing. And there's some barriers as to why maybe you wouldn't do that, or do it the way that we do it, which is totally fine. But there is something to be said about the time that we're spending doing that thing. And I wake up 5 o'clock every single morning, and as soon as I wake up, I'm making lunches, and then my kids wake up, and it's dad. Hey, I need this, and so we're running, and then I get in the car, and then for years I went straight to work, and it's Jedd, which I'm happy. I love that. But then you get off whenever you get off, and then you go home, it's the same thing, and then you put your head down on the pillow at 11 or 12 at night, and you're like, there is so much noise, and then over time it just becomes gray and muddy, and it's just all this one roller coaster that, it's hard. It's easy to get kind of caught in this cycle, and then so the point I think is that breaking that cycle to create these moments that you can gain some perspective and step away.
You need mental space
and breathe, and so 45 minutes is a luxury. It's not a lot of time, but it's something that's the point, is that spending time getting your mind right, doing something you enjoy doing. And at first, when I was getting into the gym, I'd say 30 minutes, cut it off. Because in my mind, I was like, the phone starts ringing at 7:45, 7:30, and I would always feel pulled away. So I said, okay, well, if that's the case, then I'm just going to end it by that time, but I'll find a way to get whatever I can get in, go as fast as I can. And then that 15, 30 minutes went to 35 minutes, went to 40 minutes, went to 45 minutes. And some days it's 20 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes, but it's just consistency. And then I realized that it affected all the other things in my life too, from a discipline perspective. I was a lot more disciplined about writing lists in the morning. I was a lot more disciplined about being intentional with my children at night. I was a lot more disciplined about all these other things. And so it has this ripple effect on the disciplines in your life. But if you're disciplined in nothing, then you can't have that. And so I think it starts with that.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
That's right. I think I was the ultimate firefighter.
Everyone's the ultimate fire. Everyone, all you guys, everyone in the restaurant business. If you're in a leadership role in the restaurant business, you are just born to be a firefighter. Because that's how you grew up in the business.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, you were trained. Actually, I hate to say you were conditioned to go run and put out the fires. Yeah. And that got, and the unfortunate part is kind of got to me to where I am, and so it's, you're like, well, that's comfort. That feels good. That's what I know has value. But the reality of it is, especially in a growing business, is what got me here is not going to get us to the next level.
I need more people,
And you also need to change your mindset and your approach, and you got to have that trust with your team. You got to build that trust with the team. You got to train your team.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, self-care. So when we talk about self-care, like Jedd mentioned earlier, that like him and I, we like to go to the gym, but that's, again, it's not for everybody. When I say self-care to people, a lot of people think I'm automatically, trying to shame them into going to the gym. No, I'm not shaming you going to the gym. You just need to take time for yourself. That's what self-care is. Care for yourself. That could be time to read. It could be, maybe you like to go for a walk. Maybe you just want to sit and have, like, Jedd said, just some quiet time, maybe some reflection time. Maybe you like to get into, maybe do a little prayer, maybe like a little meditation. Maybe have breakfast with your spouse. Maybe you just sit and have some quiet time with your kids. Whatever it is that just fills you up. That's what self-care is about. Whatever just kind of refuels you. Because so many times we go to the restaurant business, we give and we give and we give and we give and we give, but we don't ever take that time just to refill our own battery, just to recharge ourselves. And so, you can't serve from an empty vessel. So you got to recharge yourself. Yeah, that's why I'm a big.
The reality is I really don't need much.
No, most of it.
30 minutes, 40 minutes.
Yeah,
it's just it's amazing. And I'm like most. Hey, I do it for 60 or 90 for most of my career. I'll do it for 60, 90 days. I'll get really pumped up. Start seeing gains and get stronger and feel better. And then about 90 days, you're not gaining at the same pace, and you're like, okay, bump this. I'm out.
We always play.
And so it's just one of those things. But now, because I don't know that it's about the lifting. I think it's about the time and the discipline. That I'm over 2 years going 5 days a week. And I haven't done that at any point in my career, but it also, I just feel way calmer and way more control.
You are calmer. I have to tell you, from when I first met you, you were way calmer than when I first met you.
I call it middle child syndrome. That's what I call it. That's what I blame it on. I'm just the chip on my shoulder, got to prove it. Everything's a test. And life's just not that. It just doesn't have to be that complicated.
It's true. It doesn't have to be. No, it doesn't have to
be.
Yeah. So how do you handle stress when the pressure hits? When you hit that kind of red line and you're like, how do you handle stress?
I think it's the acknowledgement that there is a solution.
Yes.
And that you might not have it right this second, but that it'll come. And you can't get in the way of seeing it. And an emotion normally keeps you from seeing it. And so I think that's important. I have the opportunity to have a 9-year-old who's starting to deal with adversity and deal with stress and deal with that kind of stuff, that I get to feel it and then I get to teach it and coach it to a 9-year-old, but I also get to teach it and coach it to managers. And so that is a huge opportunity for me to certainly commit it in my own personal life, because there's so many people that I'm telling to do it. And so I can't tell them if I'm not going to do it. So it's a good reassurance. But yeah, I think it's just being aware. I think it's taking time during the day and just collecting your thoughts, finding some quiet time, or just getting into a rhythm of looking at that list that I developed at the beginning of the day and say, hey, where am I? How am I doing with that? Where should I be dividing my, did I get enough FaceTime today? Did I go and see people? Did I ask them how their day was going and not blow right by them? I try to put in a couple hours a day of intentional conversations with the dishwasher, with the servers, with managers every single day. And I think maybe the point I'm trying to make there is what do I enjoy most? And I enjoy personal connection. And when I don't get a lot of personal connection, that's when I feel a little overwhelmed and stressed.
Oh, okay.
And so I build that in a lot of times. I do time mapping and say, hey, that is an essential need for me. I got to go get it.
You're like me.
And so I'll go try, even if it means I work a 10 or 12 hour day or 14 or 15 hour day, I'll go do it, because I understand it's the thing that keeps me rolling.
Very cool.
Does that answer the question?
No, yeah, perfect. No, it's perfect.
Okay.
So if you came with a warning label, what would your warning label say?
I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to.
Say it.
Don't ask a question if you only want yes is the answer. I like to discuss. I don't like to be asked a question and be kind of and say, hey, but there's only one answer to the question. Let's don't make me choose. Let's have a relationship. Let's let it be a living organism. Don't back me into a corner. I think that's what I would say. So if you don't want the truth, don't ask me. Maybe that's what.
That's a good. If you don't want the truth, don't ask me.
Man,
You're like me. You and I are both brutally honest. I mean,
it'll eat me up inside. I'll think about it all night. I gotta tell you where you stand. So.
I've said that to some people, like, do you want me to tell you the truth? Do you want me to tell you what you want to heir? Because I don't do that. I don't do that second part. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear.
Yeah.
So let's go back to like 8-year-old Jedd. 8-year-old Jedd. What'd you think about? What'd you dream of being when you grew up?
I always thought I'd be an engineer.
Really?
Yeah. I just like the idea of building stuff. I like people dynamic. I was a little Lego kid. Yeah. But then I would just take random stuff and build stuff out of, spoons and forks and pots and pans and random, this is not, children don't necessarily do this as much, but every wooded area behind any house that we were associated with, we had a fort. We had a fort of linoleum that we pulled out of somewhere, and just, there's still some. I went behind my parents' house, which is the house we grew up in, and there's traces of that still exist.
Really? That's so cool. That is so cool.
And that's just what we did, you know.
You
And
built-
there's
you
woods on
did
the other
that.
side of the neighborhood that we went. We wasn't our land, but we went and built a fort there too, you know. And so, I mean, just my grandma's house. Everywhere we went, that's just what we did. I was just thinking, what can I build, you know? And then as I grew up and was playing organized sports, you know, I kind of always felt like it was my responsibility to be the glue to the team. You know, it's like, hey, I got to be the one that encourages people and people having bad days to be the one that kind of helps them have a better day. Now, I didn't have a framework for that. I just felt like I needed to do it. You know, if I ever got money for Christmas, I never spent it on myself. I always went and bought gifts for other people. I just always loved giving things and
like me.
making people happy.
I give little gifts all the time out.
I just don't, you know, I say all the time, it's like, you know, once you make enough money, the rest is not mine. You know, I mean, the rest is for me to do whatever I felt led to do. If somebody needs something, I want to be in a position where I can help. And so that, I think, anyway, that I got on a tangent there, but I wanted to be an engineer. I like to build stuff. You know, I thought I would go to Auburn down here has a really good engineering school.
They have a really
good State has a really good engineering school. And so I kind of thought I had a dorm picked out at Auburn. I was about to go there. And then I kind of pivoted last minute and I grew up a Southern Miss fan. My parents went to Southern Miss and just said, you know, Southern Miss just feels like home. And so I didn't really know what I'd study coming here, but it was kind of this feeling that's like, man, that just feels like where I need to be. Why I couldn't tell you, you know, but you know, you gotta believe that somebody else, there's a guy upstairs that's pulling the strings and, you know, directing you where you need to go even when you're not sure.
Always pulling the strings. Yeah. What does that say? I tried my way, but God's way is better.
Yeah, that's right.
I tried my way.
Yeah. We don't know it all. We don't know it all.
We don't know it. No. And that's where you have to have that faith and just like put it in the hands of Him, you know.
And that's okay.
That's fine.
You know, it doesn't mean that we're broken. It just means we're not there. We're not there yet.
You know? There.
Yeah.
What's the absolute best meal you've ever had?
I'm gonna go both spectrums here. You know.
Okay.
You know, I took my 6-year-old daughter to Per Se.
Did you really?
When she was 6. Yeah.
Nice.
And it was just incredible. I mean, just incredible. And it was such a lesson in hospitality and that kind of stuff, because where selfishly, I'm like, you know, it's Per Se, you know, if you've been in the restaurant business, you're like, you know, you kind of live to do that one day, just to go and eat at one of these places. And you're probably going to eat there once, maybe twice in your life, but that's it, you know? And so I worked this thing up in my head. And so I kind of made it about me, you know, it's like, oh, this is what I want to do. I'm going to go drink all this wine and eat all this food and stuff. And they were certainly hospitable to me, but they made the girls feel like they were just royalty, you know. And so that was such a lesson in hospitality. You know, they did a menu that wasn't even listed for the girls. They had cider pairings for the girls. They took them on their own private tour to the kitchen, then came back and got the dads later. I mean, just made them feel like it was just amazing. And so it was just, don't really remember I remember some of what we ate. I mean, I keep the menu and stuff, but just the way those girls were made to feel was just, it was amazing. And then, you know, the other side of that, me and my wife have been lucky enough to travel a little bit. We've been to a couple meals. There's one place in Barcelona that Robert has been to a bunch called Tapeo. It's kind of tapas.
Oh, yeah.
And we went there, and it you know, the food fantastic. But just sharing that moment with my wife, you know, it's just, I'm one of those travelers that it takes 3-4 days for me to kind of like get into vacation mode.
You're like, it takes me a couple days to basically mentally unplug myself.
Yeah. So I'm still thinking about other stuff. So I'm not really relaxed. I'm not super in the moment yet. And so that meal, I was able to be there and just really feel like I was able to enjoy the time with her, and the food was fantastic. It's something I've heard a lot about because of Robert, and so it kind of built this thing up and it exceeded expectations. A lot of times that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
is that you get this expectation and you're like, I mean, it's just food, you know. But that was really cool. And then I love going to Waffle House with my kids. We go to Waffle House.
Oh, my dad used to take me to Waffle House every Sunday when I was a kid. We used to go to Waffle House every Sunday, man. Sit at the counter, and just like it was. I mean, It was probably one of my favorite memories. That and like early childhood memories with my grandmother, going out in the garden, harvesting like fresh tomatoes, fresh vegetables, and coming inside and making stuff. Those are like my favorite memories about food.
Yeah. I have a bunch of those too. I mean, with my grandmother and making mint tea and making fresh applesauce and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really.
So that kind of leads us into this next question. Like, if you could sit down to have dinner with any chef, any leader, any historical figure, anybody in the world, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
I can't narrow it down to one, but
give me a couple then.
Okay. This is probably an answer for a lot of people in my position, but I'd say Jim Collins, from Good to Great author.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of that's, I've read Good to Great 10 times probably and listened to it even more. And every time I read that book, there's all these nuggets as if I've read it the first time. I mean, I get so much out of it every single time, and my life has changed a lot. Yeah. So the vantage point is different too. But to create that type of information and the amount of research and study and just hours and hours and hours of, for the 500 page or whatever it is, it probably took 5 million pages to make that 500 pages. And I'm just fascinated by that. The other one is just kind of the titan in our hospitality field right now is Will Guidara. He's he's just one of those that I could listen to a 15-second deal and you just feel encouraged and revitalized when you listen. He just got that way, which would be really cool. And then this is a little bit off, but somebody who's just fascinating to me is Steph Curry.
Oh, that's cool.
Is just the guy that nobody thought. If you look at his stature, you look at who he is, you look at where he played, it's like there's 100 reasons why he shouldn't be
the top. Yeah.
The top. And he and despite every single, that is just ultimate belief in yourself. And that is so encouraging that especially we mentioned kind of solving problems and how do we deal with stress. You look at those kind of guys and you're like, you just find a way. You believe that you can. And so those three are probably the first ones that came to mind. So
yeah. If I had to pick somebody, number one, I'd pick, of course, Jesus of Nazareth. I'd like to have
sure.
break bread with him. Yeah. And then also my other one, and people always like he's like, really? I go, Marcus Aurelius. Yeah, I've always liked that Stoic philosophy. I would just love to sit down and have like dinner with Marcus Aurelius. Yeah, that would have been like cool.
Yeah, I stayed more current time. I guess.
Current. Yeah, I like to go age. Like it's like when it says like dead or alive. I'm like, I'll go back in time, man.
Yeah. There's probably some rock stars that would be fun to eat dinner with.
Rock stars would have been cool. Like, he had to pick a rock star. Who would you pick?
I don't know. That's tough.
No.
Yeah, I'd probably go after like World War II.
Robert would definitely have the Beatles or Led Zeppelin.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I'd probably, Franklin D. Roosevelt, dealing with what he dealt with, that'd be a cool conversation.
Churchill would have been cool too.
Huh?
Churchill.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
He would have been awesome to have dinner with.
Queen Elizabeth. We're going for the top.
We're going to the top here. So what do you think is like one unpopular opinion that a lot of people have about the restaurant industry?
I don't know. Maybe this doesn't directly answer this question, but there's a saying that you hear, the guest is always right. And we kind of run down this avenue. It's like, guest is always right. And I have fought with definitive like things are the way they are. That to me that feels like there is no option. It's like almost takes empowerment away from the employee if the guest is always right. And I don't like to deal in like that type of certainty. I like to deal in, hey, let's empower our employee. Let's build that person up. And so the guest would always be right, but you also have an employee who's really, really empowered, and we're not playing in this field of right and wrong. It's just like, we're just doing the right thing, And so I think that's maybe, that doesn't directly answer that question, but that's probably an unpopular opinion, is that I don't like the way that we look at things sometimes.
Yeah.
When it's like something has to be that way. And there's
have you ever heard my saying about that? When people say the guest is always right? My statement is I always say like, the guest is not always right, but the guest is always the guest. And it's okay for the guest to be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know that we're playing the game of right and
yeah,
wrong.
I don't even why
Just
who's
do
right,
the
who's wrong. I
thing.
mean, they're always the guest. And it's okay if they're. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, they're like every other human being in the world. They have assumptions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so that's probably, you know, sometimes when I have that conversation with people about like that thing, they kind of draw back and you're like, what do you mean? You know, it's like, well, let me explain. You know, let's just go do the next right thing in general. And normally it works out, you know.
If you had one superpower to run your restaurant, what would it be and how would you use it? And please use it for good. What would be your superpower? One superpower.
Hey, I just, the ability to stay calm.
Really?
You know, I just think that is so the reason, you know, emotional knee-jerk reactions is just the reason that restaurants fail or people fail, you know, and just the ability to always
had like a
receive information the way that it was intended.
Automatic calm.
Just, and to always know the intentions of words, you know, that would be the superpower. It's not cool and flashy. It's not super strength, but
you know what? I would like invisibility.
Yeah.
Like stand in a restaurant and like watch the team doing stuff, like, you know, and I'm there, but I can see stuff, you know.
Yeah. Super speed would be good.
Super speed would be good.
I like to go fast. So.
Yeah, you could definitely be the Flash. You get around all day like super fast.
Yeah.
Get 5 restaurants in like 2 minutes.
It'd be awesome. And then when we have 20, you know.
That's super easy then, yeah. All right. Yeah. So if your restaurant had a mascot that represents your culture, what would that mascot be?
I don't know. An elephant? I don't know. A sure-footed animal.
Sure-footed animal.
Pachyderm.
Hey, at least it didn't say like something like, you know, like something crazy like rattlesnakes.
Yeah, I just think something that has a good foundation. You know, I think right now we're building a foundation. We got sure footing, and then we're building on top of that. You know, it's not the prettiest. You know, it's not the most attractive. It's not the one everybody thinks of when they think of their favorite animal. But it's you can trust it and believe in it. And I think
if you said sure-footed, I would say for you guys like a mountain ram.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, those things it's like stand on those super skinny ledges and be sure-footed, and like, you know, and they have those big battering rams that just just bust open obstacles.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys would be like a mountain ram.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll take it. There is some tenacity in our.
You have a lot of
core values.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right. So this next session I call in or out. It's really going to be fast. I'm going to basically just say a word out loud, and you basically say, and usually a lot of times it's trends. You just say, is it still in or is it out? Right? You ready? Sriracha.
For me, it's still in.
All right. Smash burgers.
It's in. Ed's. Got to be.
That birria, everything. Like everyone's making that, you know, that shredded beef.
I think it's on its way out. I like it though.
Okay. Nashville hot chicken.
It's kind of it's running its course, but I like it. I'm in on it.
How about cauliflower as a meat substitute?
I think it's out.
Yeah. How about charcuterie boards?
It's in. Yeah, we saw a lot of them. It's in.
Yeah. How about hot honey?
That's a mid. I mean, I
think it's running its course.
It's running its course.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I would say a trend's starting to run its course when I see it at the chains. Mm-hmm. Then I know it's already played. You know. Mm-hmm. Okay. How about hard seltzers?
They're out for me. I don't like them. But
how about mocktails?
Still a lot of them. My wife would say something different.
Yeah, your wife says they're in. Yeah. How about mocktails?
Yeah. They're coming in. They're there.
How about that flavored cold foam on coffee?
This was a tough one. I think it's in.
Do you really?
You know, because I'm a black coffee guy, no sweets, nothing.
Yeah.
But my wife will get that, and I'll always sneak a couple sips because I'm like, yeah, it's good. You know.
Normally I would say, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like on the fence sometimes. Like I was just up in Canada. I was up in Whistler, and we have a member of our group over there called Ed's Breads, and they do this really great chai, and then they put this coconut whip on top. This cold coconut whip, and that thing was delicious. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I like it as a vessel for flavor.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you can really manipulate it and do a lot of fun stuff with it.
Okay. And then what's one book, podcast, or an audio book? You know, you and I exchange audiobooks all the time. What's a book, a podcast, or an audiobook that you recommend right now?
E-Myth.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Gotta be good to great. Read it 100 times and don't think that you got it figured out.
No, yeah, that's definitely true.
Because there's just nuggets everywhere. And then shameless plug here. You didn't ask me to do this, but I'd say Ingredients.
I love that.
By your boy DB.
My newest one, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good. Yeah. And then we have a new one coming out. I have a new one coming out in January already called Restaurantology. Yeah. New one coming out. What's one quote you kind of live by?
It's probably one that a lot of people do, but the Maya Angelou learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
That's true.
And I mean, that's a daily thing.
For you guys, definitely. You guys live that. Your whole culture lives that every day. Yeah.
And then what you say is that busy is a mindset, and that's not. And that's something I have to remind myself and remind our leaders all the time.
Bullshit. When somebody says I'm busy, I say busy bullshit. I'm not busy.
Yeah, it's a mindset. Yeah, maybe I paraphrased that.
No, busy is a mindset though. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And then one
mindset, but the bullshit mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. And then one that maybe I don't know if it's mine. It's probably yours. I don't know. One that I've kind of adopted lately is that don't be foolish enough to think it's all about you. You know.
Oh, that's a good one. That's not mine, but that's a good one. No.
And so that's one of those things that I've really had to think about. That when I'm failing to act or move forward, it's because I've made it about me and how I feel and how and so it just slows us down when we make it about ourselves. So,
and then what's one thing you wish that you want every restaurant owner listening to this week? What's one thing you think they could do to make more money?
It's like quick.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say take the most popular item. Sometimes you kind of forget about that because it sells.
Yeah.
Figure out how you can sell more of it. Still how much you can package it and sell it, but how can you encourage if you're selling a certain, like for us it's the crab meat wonton, we sell them probably on 50% of tables. How can I sell it at 60% tables? How can I sell it at 100% of tables? Take the item that you're already selling, how can you produce more of it? And then the other one is looking at streamlining your menu to help improve prep and operational efficiency. What are some things that you can every time we've scaled down our menu, I've always been like, oh no, people are going to quit coming, and every time we do it, we get better, we get better at making the other things. And it normally doesn't affect anything. Everybody's fine, and so don't underestimate what that could mean. Now don't take off the stars, but I mean, take maybe some things that are the dogs.
The plow horse, especially if things that maybe popular but not profitable, I might like retire them for a little bit. And I want to push more of those puzzles, the things that are already profitable but not popular yet. Yeah, or features even. But those are the two things that I think you could do and affect yourself pretty quickly. And then what would you say is one word that describes your restaurant today versus before the TRC method? I think we're a little bit more adaptable. I think we're lighter on our feet. I think we're able to accept more stuff. We're able to say yes. We've opened up more realms of yes. That's it. If that answers the question. No, it does perfectly. And then, of course, if people want to find a New South Restaurant Group, how do they find you guys? So they can find us on Facebook and Instagram. They're going to have no problem finding Robert St. John. He's all over it. Robert St. John is Robert St. John, of course, is the founder of the New South Restaurant Group. If you just want to find Robert St. John. You can't miss Robert. Robert's like everywhere. I think he's still doing his book tour. He's wrapping it up, but he's got a week or so left of that. He's on the road now. I write a lot of books. Robert makes me look like I'm slacking because he's like on what, number 15 now, I think. Books. Yeah, this is number 15. Yeah. I'm only on number 8. I feel like a slacker, man. I got to kick it in gear here. I got to catch up to that guy. Damn. Yeah, he's good for one about every 2 or 3 years. Yeah. I'm usually good for one a year. Well, then you catch up in no time. Yeah. So he's got another one he's got another one coming. I know you do, but you better think of the next one. Slow him down. We got to slow him down somehow. What could we do to slow him down? Good luck. I've been trying to do it for 15 years. That's the thing about Robert. You can't slow Robert down. It's like you can't stop the train. Robert's like the train. You can't stop the train. You just got to hold on. That's it. Well, and why would you? It's such a compliment to my skill set. It's just,
it's why our brand exists. And then,
and we really dialed
creates
into
opportunities for
C-suite
others.
lately. Over the last year, we really dialed in the C-suite team super efficiently.
And building the C-suite team. I mean, you've been a part of, really, when you came on is when we were constructing the C-suite team. We've added some people to our team, and then figuring out how we can use those people. We've always promoted from within, and for the first time ever, we brought people who have extreme experience in to help us navigate the next chapter of our business, which is a challenge and a huge opportunity. So there's been a lot of TRC method has helped us navigate that and kind of orchestrate that.
Awesome. Well, I want to say thanks, Jedd, for being on the show today. I appreciate you. I'm honored to be your coach. I'm honored to be able to talk to you and just see. I'm so excited about where New South Restaurant Group's going, and looking forward to the future with you guys.
It's been fun. And so I can't imagine doing it without you. So
awesome. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, DB. Appreciate you.